Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sick of This Shit Publications. I'm Nick Paro, not your dad, joined by my good friend, Walter Rhein, protector of Labradors, our guest host, Lisa Gonzalez, and our first guest today, the candidate carousel number 2. This is our second in candidate carousel. We're gonna keep moving through candidates in such a wonderful way. This has been such a fun time. Is Ericka Kopp running for Virginia 01? And I'm so excited to have you. Virginia has been in the news recently. But before we get into any of that, Walter, good morning. Lisa, good morning. It's good to have
Morning.
both of you with us. How are you both today?
Go ahead.
Great.
Good. And Ericka, can you introduce yourself for us and who you are? Give yourself a little bit of a promo for everybody and an appearance. I'm going to find our Substack live as we're discussing, making sure everybody can see us. My stuff might be behind, so who knows. So good morning, Ericka. Please introduce yourself for us.
Good morning, and thank you all so much for having me on today. My name is Ericka Kopp. I am a practicing healthcare attorney here in Virginia. I am also a caregiver to my husband, who is a disabled combat veteran, and I'm a dog mom, so if you hear my dogs barking in the background, that's what that is. I am also a grassroots progressive Dem running for Congress in Virginia's 1st District. I'm one of over 150 Courage candidates, and I look forward to this progressive blue wave that I anticipate we will see this year.
Perfect. It's been delightful to meet you, and all these candidates, they give me so much hope. Talking to you and all the others, it's just like I'm constantly astounded by how much firepower in terms of like just brilliance is out there working hard for us, and that's something the media doesn't elevate enough.
I agree completely. So, I mean, this makes it all the more special that you all are using your platforms to elevate progressive voices like mine, and I thank you so much for that.
It's such a privilege. It's such a privilege for me. All these wonderful people. It's like I've never been so challenged by all these brilliant people I've been able to talk to, like in that good way. Like, oh my goodness, they're thinking of things I never heard of. They're on my point already, and they're taking the next step. And it's just like it's exciting. We need that kind of hope right now.
And as for me, I've always been someone who thinks they have to solve all the problems and have to try and do all the things. And this experience of meeting candidates, but also meeting other folks like Lisa and Walter and Ellie Leonard, who's going to be coming on in the second half with us to talk. Like, I've realized I just don't need to know certain things, and I can stay in my lane, and it's so much less stressful when I can see there's a whole team of us all around doing all the things individually, and we have those million lanes for a million voices, and it's wonderful to see so many voices speaking out and speaking up and doing things. And we're in a time when Virginia's in the news right now. You guys were just in the news last week, really, for pretty shitty reasons. And I would love to have your thoughts, Ericka, on what just happened in your state and your response to what your state's Supreme Court said to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll take it back just a little bit. We've been seeing challenges to the redistricting referendum since January. It was the first that I could remember. We saw that this went to the Circuit Court of Tazewell County, that it was overturned by a judge there. It was really light on the law, if I'm being totally honest. And as a lawyer, as somebody who looks for that legal analysis to see, okay, what were the legal positions that were discussed during this opinion, I didn't see that really at all. So that went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, go ahead and have the vote. And we saw that the vote started. There was another challenge to try to get early voting to stop before it even happened. That went away. And the court said, yeah, have the vote. Let the people decide. Sure. While we're figuring out all of the legal implications, while we're determining whether or not this is even constitutional, have the vote. Okay, great. So we have the vote, and the people decide by slightly over 3 points to redistrict. And then, while in argument at the Supreme Court ultimately decides by one justice's vote to overturn the will of the people. And the decision itself, I read it and I was like, are you serious? Like, there was so much law that was overlooked, that was ignored, and it did not make sense, not with its prior ruling to have the vote, not with its prior signaling that the people would be the deciding factor. And ultimately, I'm really disappointed in what the Supreme Court of Virginia has done, because it has signaled to the people that their vote didn't matter when they said go ahead and vote.
Oh, this is just another in a long line of these frustrating decisions where the rule is always selectively interpreted in the way that causes the most possible damage. I want to turn to Lisa, though, and give Lisa a chance to offer any opinions or thoughts, as she's hasn't had really a chance to talk yet.
Oh, that's okay. Like, well, one of the things I was wondering is I haven't seen a lot of pushback from your governor. How do you feel about that? Where do you think she stands on all of that? And is she going to push back? Do you see there being any sort of follow up to I mean, I understand they're the Supreme Court, but I kind of expected more of pushback.
You know, I did as well, particularly because when the legislature was voting on this amendment earlier in the term, there was a speech that the governor gave on the floor of one of the chambers of the Virginia legislature, and she was in favor of redistricting. And so to see almost complete and total silence is really surprising. Jay Jones, who is the Attorney General here in the Commonwealth, did appeal to the Supreme Court of the US, and that was denied. So we're back in line with what the Supreme Court of Virginia ruled. And I think strategically, I could have seen the Supreme Court of the US saying no. So I don't think that it would have made a difference that way. But I really do think that the way that the Supreme Court of Virginia went about this was underhanded and just really put in a strained interpretation of the law that doesn't exist. And this decision came down within days of the Supreme Court of the US gutting the Voting Rights Act in the Louisiana v. Calais decision. And then we saw the impact that had immediately, particularly in Louisiana, where they canceled their US House primary election. So it's something that again flies in the face of what the Virginia Supreme Court said, and it's truly, truly a disappointment.
How are the people feeling, the ones you've been talking about when you're out campaigning? What's the response from the voters?
There are a lot of people that are pissed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, let's channel that anger. Let's channel that rage into the primaries and into the general this year. I agree. At the same time, I'm concerned because there are a lot of people that vote Republican in my district in particular. And I don't want for them to think that Democrats were trying to take away their vote or that Democrats were trying to disenfranchise the people. I don't want this to backfire.
Well, they'll probably figure out a way to come up with some sort of angle, right, to frame it in that context.
That's a really interesting point, Lisa. And I think that's something, because we always kind of defer to how Republicans frame things. And I think that's a main thing we have to, push back. We have to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, but I mean, those concerns, but they're bad faith actors. So they're always going to, no matter what we're going to do, they're going to have a problem with it.
So building on this question or on this topic is there are three separate but equal branches of government. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Courts across the board seem to feel that they are above the other two branches and that they are the arbiter of truth alone. You're running for federal Congress, where there is a Supreme Court that is rampantly corrupt, in my opinion, and blatantly abusing their powers and under the thumb of a regressive ideology. Mm-hmm. How will you use your position to ensure that there is an equality among the branches that is no longer there? Because Congress has abdicated so much of its power to the other two branches. What will you do to make sure that Congress gets that power back?
This is such an important question. And we know from the US Constitution that Congress has the power to impeach. There is Supreme Court, or I'm sorry, not Supreme Court, there is historical precedent for Supreme Court justices being impeached. So I think Congress needs to take its power back and investigate, number one, investigate Supreme Court justices who have been taking money where they shouldn't be or not recusing themselves where they should be. We know that there is an ethics code of the Supreme Court of the US, perhaps in name only. And I would like to see, and I will fight for in Congress, there being an ethics code that is overseen by Congress. Because if Congress has the ability to impeach sitting Supreme Court justices, it stands to reason that they have the ability to conduct investigations. And if they have that ability to conduct investigations, why don't they also have the ability to oversee an ethics code? We know that the Supreme Court is not going to police itself. It hasn't happened yet, and I don't think that it will. So we need somebody who is outside of the court to be that check on the Supreme Court. And when these branches of government are supposed to act as checks and balances on each other, the executive branch can't do it. The Supreme Court won't do it. Congress is the only remaining body. And so I think we need to have these conversations about there being enforceable ethics rules enforced by Congress upon the Supreme Court.
What about just basic laws, though? I mean, what other evidence there's been talk? I mean, are any of these justices in the Epstein files, for example? And if they are, what it shouldn't require impeachment if they're in the Epstein files for some sort of heinous crime, right? Shouldn't they just be arrested like anybody else at that case? Or I guess what's the legal standard there?
I don't think it would happen. And if it were to happen, I don't see there being a way for the justice, any justice, insert your favorite justice here. I don't see there being a way for there to be true accountability until they are impeached, removed from the bench, and then can be prosecuted. So I see impeachment as a starting point for subsequent actions to be taken by the requisite law enforcement authority.
Wow. But okay, so here's a hypothetical situation. What if a justice just murdered somebody in plain view? They can't touch him until he's impeached? That's our law?
I mean, so there is a little bit of things here. We have to see okay, there's state criminal law versus federal criminal law. We know that the federal Department of Justice is not likely to prosecute something, maybe not something as blatant as a broad daylight murder, as the hypothetical suggests. But I think it is such a gray area because we've not ever seen anything really like this before. And then where there have been justices that have been doing things that they shouldn't be doing, taking bribes, taking kickbacks, they have been impeached first before we have seen potential further accountability.
Wow. Thank you for answering that. Holy cow. I guess this is just an education, these last couple
Lisa,
of years.
do you have any questions building on this area, or do you want to shift it all?
Regarding the law, one of the conversations, one of my best friends is an attorney. She's a DA in Raleigh. And I had gone, take your friend to work day when I went to visit her last summer. And it was really interesting to spend the day just observing the way the justice system is supposed to work. I mean, I sat there and I'm thinking to myself, meanwhile, people are illegally being, grabbed off the streets by masked thugs, who have no criminal history and are being detained and what have you. And I just, how does that make you feel? I kept asking her about that as an attorney. I can't imagine what that would be like when this is your profession.
Yeah.
To see your whole profession turned completely upside down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some semblance of the justice system is still working for us regular folks, right? Whereas it's like it's non-existent on the federal level. Would you say that's accurate?
I would absolutely agree that that's accurate. We have seen statistics come out with ICE in particular that something on the order of, I believe the statistic was 10,000 court orders that had been violated.
Yes, I saw that too.
And
Insane.
it is absolutely insane. And so what I want to see, I want to see federal judges, these judges that are appointed for life, and whether we want that to continue going forward or not is another conversation entirely. But I would love to see these judges institute contempt proceedings against ICE as an agency, against the officials, and at the end of the day, against the people that are in charge of running the agencies.
Mhm.
And I hope that we'll see that going forward.
So we could right now as activism, our judges could be issuing contempt. What would that be called? A filing or whatever? We could just flood the whole zone with these contempt filings, and then what would be the consequence of that?
It could range. So it could be a monetary penalty, it could be imprisonment.
Okay. And then how would they enforce it? Like, what if they just decided I'm not going to pay this fine, or I'm not going to respond, or who's going to go arrest the people that they're sending out?
At that point, it might be, if we're talking about in federal court, it might be the U.S. Marshals that might go, and particularly if there is an order of contempt for which the person that is the subject of the contempt order would be imprisoned. It might be something like the U.S. Marshals going and finding that person, getting them off of the streets and taking them to prison.
Okay.
So interesting follow-up on this, and I've always wanted to ask about this, is the U.S. Marshals falls under the executive branch.
I was
And
just going to ask that.
the judiciary itself does not have an enforcement arm of its own. Do you, and this is a power that Congress would have the authority to do, is would it be appropriate? And I understand right now, maybe with this current Supreme Court, it may not be appropriate at this moment just because they're irresponsible and corrupt. Would it be appropriate to move the U.S. Marshal Service to be solely under the purview of the judiciary branch so that they do not need the executive permission to then arrest someone for contempt? Because they don't really have an enforcement mechanism. What could you do as a member of Congress to ensure that there is an enforcement mechanism that can actually be used that doesn't solely belong to the executive? Because we have, again, shifted a ton of power onto the executive, and we continue to give them more authoritarian-like powers. How would you remove that to ensure that the judiciary has an enforcement mechanism that would work?
I think it absolutely, the U.S. Marshal Service needs to be under the judicial branch for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the marshals that are providing security to the courtroom. It is the marshals who are providing security to the judges themselves. And when we have an executive branch like we do currently that has made threats or insinuated things that then contribute to threats being made against judges and against courthouses, it's a complete conflict of interest to have the people who are supposed to then provide the security to the judges and the courthouses, if they're under the purview of the ones that are making the statements that then have the threats issued upon the judges and the courthouses. So I don't think the Marshal Service should be under the executive branch at all, given what their job function is with respect to courts and judges themselves. I think they need to be under the purview of the judicial branch.
Follow-ups, Lisa?
Yes. No, I don't have a follow-up for that. No.
Okay. Go ahead, though, if you have another question. I always want to defer. I want to make sure you have your time to speak.
No. I'm fine. Thank you.
So going on this, I have another question, if that's okay,
Yeah,
for my other two guests or hosts too, we have a friend, Melissa Corrigan, who does a lot of reporting. She's out of Virginia Beach, not Virginia Beach, out of Norfolk, near the naval base. And she does a lot of coverage around both ICE, but also around the surveillance system that is being built using cameras like Flock Safety, and companies like Palantir or others who are funding like Ubiquity, who are behind the scenes, who are sending networking equipment and are helping fuel and fund the war against Ukraine by Russia, and their technologies have been found in areas they should not be. How would you, using the coalition that you're working with Courage for Democracy candidates, other coalitions that you are building and becoming part of, how would you use those coalitions to hold these American companies accountable for the actions that they are doing that are causing war across the world?
I think it's going to start with getting the House back. Once the House is under Democratic control, we will have subpoena power. And I would want to subpoena every person that is in charge of those companies, from the CEOs and COOs down to the people that are actually placing these cameras in areas. Like, I was just driving off of the highway yesterday in my community, in my district, and there's a flock camera facing the road that's going towards the interstate, or the one in my district a little further south that's facing an elementary school. I want to know why those are there. I want to know who is in charge of placing them. I want to know why there is all of this secrecy. And I want to know where all of this data is going. I want to know what it's being used for. I have questions. And once we have the subpoena power to be able to ask those questions, I'm going to have my time to ask all of them.
Oh my goodness. There's just
Thank you for that answer.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much going on right now at this moment and I keep throwing on the idea of media capture, how there's so many people still in the dark about the reality of all these things confronting us. People have been, I'm still really terrified of the social control of the algorithms. All the algorithms are captured. They divide us by giving people different, depending on your identity, they give you different news, and they'll change words just so that people are fighting. I don't know, like, does it all come down to these data centers? If we can stop those data centers, is that a delay? Because I mean, we have to delay until we get to the midterms, and assuming we can make sure there's no, attempt to steal those elections, that's another issue. But what are these other delay tactics until that moment, and what are the best ways that we can be active, do you think, right now?
That's a big question, and I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in it too. Just yesterday, we got the news that NextEra is trying to merge with Dominion Energy. Dominion Energy is the one in Virginia that has long-term contracts with data centers. That was information that was put to the public by a developer of a data center. And so Dominion's got the relationships already put in place. NextEra has the money. And there's already reporting coming out that with this merger, those two companies as one are going to expedite further data center production, which in Virginia, we have the most data centers of any state in the country. We have Data Center Alley in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC. We have, I believe 35% of the entire world's data center production is in Virginia. So we're already overwhelmed and overrun. And this merger is going to bring with it the potential of even more than that. And so it would have to be approved by state and federal regulators.
Okay.
Federal, I just kind of toss that out the window because I don't think there's going to be any pushback realistically that would stop a federal regulator from approving that merger. But at the state level, we do have an opportunity to push back with the State Corporation Commission. So this is going to take all of us working together against one common enemy in the expansive and mass production of more data centers here in the Commonwealth.
My goodness. And well, I guess there's some hope there that the states retain a little bit of power, but why are they building them in states controlled by, Democratic governors? I don't understand. I guess I just don't. We were trying to figure this out yesterday in terms of healthcare. It's like, what is the objective here? Is it just complete total social control and turn back to like a kingdom? Or it's like, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think the reason for data center creation here in Virginia, despite the fact that we have the trifecta of a Democratic governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, and then with both chambers of our legislature also being Democratic, It goes back to the prior administration here in Virginia. And what they did was they made it more financially attractive for data centers to be built here because they gave them tax breaks. And so there's all of this tax revenue that Virginia is not collecting because of the prior administration that said, "Ah, don't worry about it. Come and build, and you won't have to pay for such and such and such and such taxes." So it's money that we're not collecting as a state. It's money that the companies themselves, the data center companies, are saving for not having to pay all of these taxes. And that's something that's still being fought right now in the legislature. I'm not sure if there was an update on it, but I know that the last special session they went into last month, right after the vote on the referendum, I know that they were going back in to discuss whether or not they were going to tax data centers despite the prior contractual commitment made by the last administration.
In rural communities, my understanding too is when they're being brought in, people of the community is not aware of what is, who is buying that property, right? And so they sell it for a song, a farmer, or somebody might sell it for a song. I know this has happened in Ohio, and then purchase it, and they're not telling them what's going in. So now I think, do you think education for citizens on how these data centers are coming in through the back door, and then they'll get sold and they won't identify who or what is going in there until the last minute. That is exactly how they tried to do it. Something that's close to me in Ohio. But because the citizens actually pushed back because they found out about it early enough. Is that something that you would advocate for?
Absolutely. Education is one of those things that I believe is a great equalizer among all of us. And with it, there are people here in my district, here just in the next county up from me, that they are very much against the proliferation of all of these data centers here in our rural communities. And a couple of months back, there was a huge meeting about this data center put on by the developer. So people were able to go out and ask questions, and even though they didn't have answers, right? Like they're not giving us the answers that we're looking for. And that turned into a board of supervisors meeting where people again are going and pushing back, or actually that was a planning commission meeting. Nevertheless, there is going to be a board of supervisors meeting. And I think, yes, if people know that it's happening, if they know what it's for, they will turn out and show up against these data centers. We had in the county just north of me, Hanover County, there was a proposed ICE, call it what it is, concentration camp. And when that went to the board of supervisors, the building itself where this meeting was held was full at capacity with standing room only outside. There were that many people protesting the use of that building for that purpose. And so I think, yes, if there is the knowledge for people in the community to come out and oppose the data centers, they will. We've seen it. And there are more people in that county and in the surrounding localities that are more pissed about data centers, I think, that they were about the use of that warehouse as an ICE concentration camp.
Also, isn't it possible, don't they, a lot of them, if they're agricultural use, they have to be rezoned, right? So that can be a way to stop them when they're at planning commission so that before they vote, right? That's how we stopped it.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Lisa, because I've seen that too, we've already said the media is kind of captured. It's not covering all the things that are going on. And yet somehow, even here in Wisconsin, when a data center goes in, I guess it's because people are outdoorsy here. Everybody likes, and they see it. It's like, you can't hide it. So it's like, we can't rely on the newspapers to tell us what's happening, but somehow it is getting around. And I guess this is a moment that should give us hope, because even though we have all these disagreements on so many things, people are like, hell no, that's not going in here. And then they show up at these meetings. And even though where the meeting isn't really broadcast, and like all this stuff is secret. And yet somehow people are finding it, and people are finding a way to resist, and they are stopping these things. We've got a lot of fresh water here in Wisconsin. So that's why this is an attractive place. And it's like, I'd kind of prefer that my kids don't die of thirst. I would like, do we not build these things so that, you know, we can survive as a species? I mean, they're doing the things with the boundary waters and whatnot, but the reaction, the way people have been able to mobilize, despite the fact that it feels like everything against us, has been really encouraging to witness.
Would you recommend that local communities, people start attending like their city council meetings, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Thing. A lot of people, I mean, nobody's particularly been real motivated in the past to attend those, but they weren't particularly exciting. But that's when you find out all the information, right?
Absolutely.
So they have them weekly. So would you say that would be a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to depend on where you're located as to
Sure.
how frequently they happen, you know, town council, city council, board of supervisors. But yes, absolutely. I think it is so necessary that with what's happening in our local communities, with what's happening in our backyards, we need to be at the places where these decisions are being made. And those are at the board of supervisors, the town council, the city council. Those are where the local decisions that impact our everyday lives are happening and being made. And we can't participate in them if we're not there.
Right. I'm
Oh,
so glad
Ericka,
you said that. Thank you.
and
Because
I just want to say, oh, I'm sorry, Lisa. What was it?
no, I'm sorry. I just think a lot of people feel, helpless. And I still hear that a lot. Like, what can I do? Well, it doesn't sound exciting, but going to your local, city council or town council meeting, it can be extremely beneficial to you for stopping some of these things from happening in your own community.
Absolutely. I just wanted to compliment Ericka too on how this is like the third or fourth time we've talked, and it's just like every time, it's like the media is not paying attention to us, so we've created a new media, and the candidates aren't represented enough, so we created new candidates. And every time you're so good at this. I mean, the things that are coming out, and it's just excellent, and this is such actionable information. And it's just like what I don't feel is the frustration I normally feel whenever I listen to other candidates. It's like this is a problem. This is how we fix it. This is a problem. And it's like instead of the denials and the deflections, and I just hope the other people see that it has to come down to this community level. And like Lisa was saying, we've been conditioned to believe that we don't get to participate in our government. We don't go to those meetings. They don't let us. They try not to let us run the candidates we want. They deliberately act as if the representative is for somebody else, or those positions are for somebody else. No. And even as much as they are trying to erode our vote and our voice and the power of our just being, we still have that power. And all we have to do is we're finding new ways to communicate. We're finding ways to contend. So it is hopeful. I mean, despite the tidal wave of endless bad news, there is hope, and we are fighting back.
And I'll put out, thank you. I'll put out one non-sexy, but absolutely important thing that we could all be doing here in Virginia. We can look at the State Corporation Commission. They have a public comment online submission, and there are a bunch of different things on there with deadlines ranging from this month to later this year. Highly, highly, highly encourage people to go and look at what comments are being accepted. Right now, there is one by Next Gen Energy Transmission Virginia Inc., or whatever their corporation is that they have it called now. And so if we want to see change, like that's the place that we need to be putting our comments in. We need to be putting our thoughts into writing and sending it off to the State Corporation Commission, because at the end of the day, when it comes to that merger, they're going to be the ones to decide in Virginia if it happens.
Nick?
Yeah, no, I do. I may, if we have time, I may want to go back to the merger thing, because I think there's a lot of monopolies going on in the U.S. that are completely unregulated and really damaging to a lot of folks. But I wanted to shift topics just a little bit, because it's something that doesn't always get spoken about, but it's something that is very near and dear, especially for me. And I know in my community a lot is disability rights and disability visibility, and disability equity and equality. And for my opinion and my thought is, disability rights are intrinsically tied to everybody else's rights, and everybody else's rights increase when we increase the rights for disabled folks. What will you do to help stop and prevent further damage that's been going on a medical side, because we've seen the medical side being pulled back. But more my question is right now is on the voting side, is because this is a primary, you want people to come and vote for you. But
Mhm.
also, we're a democracy, or we're supposed to be, and the more people that vote, the better.
Yeah.
And states are making it harder. The federal government is making it harder. What are you trying to do to help support both your constituents to be able to get to the polls in an equitable way, especially disabled folks who may not have the information that they need? Times are changing, polling locations are changing, all that sort of thing. People are being taken off the rolls without knowing it. How are you helping your constituents make sure that they are on the rolls, and others in your state? But then how are you ensuring that there's actually going to be, or how would you in Congress ensure that there's equitable access to voting going forward, and that we stop these regressive policies and actually do something like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, or a more powerful version? How would you help safeguard disability rights for voting access to help other people have voting access?
There's a lot to unpack in this question, and I love it. I am going to start by
Sorry,
saying,
that was a big question. Don't always get time to ask about disability rights and like disability visibility, and it sort of just vomited on me.
no, it's totally good. So much good stuff in that question. First off, I want to say I am fully in support of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, full stop. I thank you for asking that question because, as I mentioned previously, my husband is somebody with a disability as well, and so I provide care to him. I think when it comes to disability rights, particularly in voting, as far as voting is concerned, we need to have Election Day be a federal holiday, number one. Number two, I know that with our website, we have a way for people to go and check their voter registration to see that, okay, I wasn't kicked off the rolls, or I'm not registered, I need to register. We have that embedded into our website. And if you want to look at it, I believe it is the tab that is called I Will Vote. I'll have to confirm that, but it's in a tab up there. So we've got that available, freely accessible. And it will take you straight to your state for voter registration to confirm that you're registered, or to be able to register you right then and there. Also, with making sure that people have access to the polls, particularly on primary day or in advance of primary day, we just connected with an organization, a nonprofit org in the northeastern part of the district over the weekend. They provide services, including transportation services that get people to the polls. And this is like a medical transport in an organization that is for elderly people, people with dementia, people with other disabilities, that they would have accessible transportation. And they've not yet expanded into transporting people to the polls for primaries. And so we're going to be working with them to see if that is a change that we can make so that people can access the polls, particularly for the primary election.
Oh, wow. You got the scrolling thing on the bottom now. Perfect.
I like it. Neat. I love it.
I would just like to, for those people that are out there, I would like to say I got kicked off the voting rolls. So it's super important. Yeah. So I'm Latina. And when I went to the DMV, because I was making my name go back to I was going back to my maiden name. And Frank LaRose thought it was this great idea that they were going to interject in the middle of the state. So anybody that registers to vote in Ohio at the DMV, it gets sent to, which by the way is like 70% of the population. I was already registered, but I had changed my name back to my maiden name. So now it goes to the state, because so that they can ensure election integrity and make sure that no one illegal is signing up to vote, right? So it's supposed to be sent electronically. And interestingly enough, somehow, if it's electronic, my name ended up getting sent to the voter registration, not my name. It got changed at the state level.
Mhm.
And the only reason I knew about it was because when I finally got that little postcard validating, it said not the correct name. So of course I had to then, because I'm an informed citizen, had to take the time to,
Yeah.
I just wanted to put out there, and I keep hearing, especially like I live in a very, very red state. So for those people that do, I would just encourage people to continue to check because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's such an important point. Yeah, check it once a month if you can, because that way you're constantly going to make sure that you are there so that when you go to the polls, you'll know that you're registered to vote.
And then there's issues like what happened in Dallas, where I think even now the Republicans are refusing to let people know what polling place they're supposed to go to because they've changed all the lines. What kind of recourse do we have there when our government is not even telling us? It's deliberately withholding the information we need to vote. That's their job to tell us. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oof. I would love, and I don't know if this is possible, particularly because it's another state where I don't practice, and I'm not sure how that would interplay with or between state and federal law. But I would love if we, the people, could file class action lawsuits against our government for doing stuff like this, for making it impossible to vote, for just doing all of these things that try to suppress our votes, for kicking people off the voter roll list without notice, for changing the polling places, closing them early when the state judges say, no, leave them open. And then the state says, no, we're not going to do that. So I think that because we, the people, are the ones that are voting, we, the people, are the ones that are impacted. We, the people, are the ones that should be able to sue the government for these things.
And I would add on to that. It's like, these are things we have to do, whether or not people start saying, well, the Supreme Court is corrupt and all these other things. It's like, but it remains media attention. It remains action. It gets people organized. So there's all these benefits to it. We don't have to be results oriented. We have to be action oriented, and we have to do things to move the needle, because we're seeing the awakening of the American people. It's happening slowly, but it's really hard to overcome that algorithm capture that so many of our neighbors, keep them in this perpetual zombie state. And the more things that we do to rouse the people, it always works out better for us in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree. And something that I've been hanging on to for the last year: when we fight, we win.
Yeah.
So it may not be in the short term, but in the end, if we make enough noise, if we fight hard enough, if we fight in the right way together, organized against the injustices that we're seeing, when we fight, we win.
Nick, I'll let you go.
No, thanks. I love this conversation so far, Ericka. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been really awesome to hear from you. And it seems obviously the folks in our audience are rather happy to hear from you too, and are refreshed to hear that you are idea filled, and that it's not just what you're against. You actually have ideas for things that you're for.
Yes.
And so I know we haven't given you, we've asked you a ton of great questions, but we haven't given, I don't know if we've asked you this question specifically, is when you get elected to Congress on day one, what would be the first thing, or what is your main priority for your candidacy, and what is the first thing you would like to try and get accomplished when you get to Congress?
So I am obligated, when I get there on day one, and my campaign manager, who is my older sister, she makes jokes at me about this all the time. She says, I'm going to set my stuff down, and then immediately I'm filing articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. Because the way that I look at things, we cannot have the society that we all want to have with that president in office. He will never sign things that are beneficial for the people, and he will only continue to try to erode our systems, our structures, our democracy as a whole. We've seen it time and time again. And so while I want to say universal healthcare is my main priority as a healthcare attorney, as a caregiver for somebody with a disability, and while it is the first task that I have to do, I have to file those articles of impeachment. And I will force a vote on them under Rule 9 to make sure that every member of Congress is on the record about where they stand on this president remaining in office with all of the illegal and unconstitutional things we've seen him do over the last year.
So real quick follow-up build on that is, will you also, would your, sorry, let me rephrase that question. Would your impeachment be limited to Donald Trump, or would you impeach the entirety of the administration to include the VPOTUS or VPOS, who is also a pain in the ass to our system and is equally, if not more, dangerous because of his intrinsic ties to folks like Peter Thiel and the fact that he's owned by the tech oligarchy and would make things worse for us. Are you committed to impeaching the entire administration? And then a follow-on question is, do you have a plan with the coalition of candidates that you're running with to put in or help install a Speaker of the House who would be ready to be the next president until one has been selected?
I'm going to start with your first question about Donald Trump's impeachment versus the entire regime. The answer is yes, I will be filing articles of impeachment against the entire regime. Donald Trump would be on day one, provided that he is still running the country as POTUS. He's on day one. Everybody else is going to follow, but that is the first one that I will be filing. Everyone else will have articles filed against them as well. It just may not be the very first thing on day one as Trump would be. So to answer that question, yes, there will be articles to come for all of the other members of the regime. Because in particular, in addition to what you've mentioned about the VP and his connections to Palantir and these tech oligarchs, the ones that are installing mass surveillance against the people, there are actions that he has taken and actions that the rest of the regime has taken to allow for this president to do all of these illegal and unconstitutional things. They've been enablers to a person who is recklessly and lawlessly breaking down the fabric of the American flag I see behind you, Nick. And so that is very important to me. And as it relates to the Speaker of the House, I can't speak for the entire coalition on this one, but me personally, yes, I am ready to install somebody that is not Hakeem Jeffries, that would be able and willing and ready to fulfill that line of succession when we're ready to go.
Thank you. Follow-up question also, would your impeachment efforts be limited to a single attempt, or is this a continuous effort on the part of the Courage for Democracy Coalition to impeach until it sticks? Because you can keep impeaching every day, and and the current Democrats should be. What is your stance on that?
I agree that impeachment is not limited in time to only the articles that we can file that will stick. And as we've seen over the last year in particular, we've had at least, so Al Green did twice. We had Shri Tenader, who did one, and then John Larson, who did another one. So we've had 4 separate times that Congress people have filed articles of impeachment. I think that every offense that is an impeachable offense, there should be an article filed for that impeachable offense. This is Congress's duty. This is Congress's constitutional obligation. And every day that passes by that we are letting these impeachable offenses go without notice or without action is a day that people in our Congress are not fulfilling their constitutional duty.
Thank you. Thank you. And as we get into it, continue to get into it, I'm going to bring on our additional host that we have, Ellie Leonard, is another special guest today. And Ellie, I wanted to get your thoughts.
Hi,
Hi,
guys.
Ellie. Welcome.
Hello.
We have Ericka Kopp for Virginia 1, and
Hello.
you're going to be joining us for the second half of our discussion as well for Abel Chavez. Do you have any questions that you are burning to ask a congressional candidate today, Ellie, on things that are going on?
I mean, probably too many questions. So okay, how to narrow this down? I think the important things for like where we live, obviously what I'm researching is the files and how to keep like the justice system at the fore for survivors, not only for these past survivors who have already gone through terrible things, but how to like not continue this narrative of, you know, what is consent? Oh, this age, it's this state, it's this age, this state, it's this age. That is obviously very important to our family because we have 4 kids, stepping out into the world. I have a 15-year-old daughter, but also immigration is really, really huge for us. We are not an immigrant family, but every other friend that my child has comes from either a first generation family or a family that moved here from somewhere else. And so those are 2 probably sticking points for me in any local election, any primaries that are coming up would be those 2 major issues, I would say. I don't know if that was a question. That was more.
I mean, I'm happy to, tell you my thoughts on those.
Sure.
Because I agree, they're super important, not just to a certain state, but they're important to everyone throughout the country. As it relates to the Epstein files, we are so beyond the statutory deadline for those files to be released in their full unredacted, save for the survivors form. And we've not seen it. And I think that's another article of impeachment for obstruction of justice, number 1. Number 2, those need to come out. And I am fully 100% in support of releasing the unredacted Epstein files in their entirety. I don't care if it's President Trump in those files. I don't care if it's former President Bill Clinton in those files. I don't care if it's Barney the dinosaur in those files. They need to come out. And the people that are responsible for those actions that are in the Epstein files need to be held accountable.
And so,
I have a
Lisa, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, one of my questions was, we often talk about violence against women only after the harm is done. And so my question is, what would it look like for you to hold men in institutions responsible, accountable prior to the harm being done, prior to women and girls being trafficked and raped and assaulted and abused and stalked and killed? I mean, there's just so much every single day. So what would that look like for you?
You're right. A lot of our system of law is very much retroactive in the sense that we have laws that apply to harm that has occurred in the past, but prevention is not really, there's nothing there. I want to see stronger enforcement at the federal level of crimes against women. I know that in the early 90s, there was an international treaty that was posed, the Violence Against Women Act. And I want to see the US in that treaty. I want for there to be consequences, stronger consequences under US law for people that think it is okay to harass, to stalk, to harm, to abuse, to abduct women and girls, furthermore. And I think that it is long past time that our system of policing get away from the way that it was brought about in this nation, being slave catchers and then being women catchers, essentially. When women would leave their husbands, the police would go and collect them and take them back. And we still live with the vestiges of that today. And we need to have these conversations. We need to have stronger federal law. in Congress, I won't be able to do anything about state law, but I would be honored to work with any state government that would want to work with me about how we strengthen our protections for women and girls.
Perfect.
I think one of those things, and it's a tricky subject because we are now in a period of time when they're weaponizing immigration law and citizenship and making it so difficult for people to if they choose to go through the citizenship process the right way, they make it so it's too expensive, they make it too difficult, they make people too afraid. But something that I think needs to be vetted is that Einstein visa program, because that program is what brought all of these girls to the US, mostly without paperwork, mostly without, you look at Epstein, you look at Donald Trump and Melania, you look at like Paolo Zampoli, you look at most of these girls came through the Einstein visa program, and you have celebrities, you have people like David Blaine asking for people to sign off. And there was a woman, and I forget her name, but she was an official and she was in charge of the program, and she said it is more important the value of the person sponsoring the person coming across than the, because we think of them as bringing like academic prestige to the US. They've done something great and thus they get this visa. And she said, no, it really doesn't matter what they've done. It's the person signing for them has to be somebody of import. And so you have these girls that are coming in and they didn't even have to sign. They didn't even have to be there. They were given bank accounts and their birth dates are not even on the bank accounts. And so you have this entire program that I do not know for how long was bringing in girls, under the guise of modeling and art and these kind of entertainment programs, and brought them in waves, and nobody monitored it, nobody paid attention to it, and it was a funneling system for sexual trafficking from all over the world. And it's a tough thing to really focus in on because that program still exists, because you don't want to take away rights from people who are really trying to safely come into this country because they are already being demonized. But that specific program was really, really detrimental to, I don't know how many women and girls, I don't know, but it was the key to bringing in girls into this country to be sexually abused by people like Jeffrey Epstein.
Ellie, do you know, did they acquire those prior to coming, or is that something that they actually got when they came here? The reason I'm asking.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think in the case of Melania, I think she was already here. I don't think she had it prior.
I was just asking because one of the conversations I had with Jen Budd that she had brought up was, which is a great point. Why, if they're bringing all these girls in on these private planes, they interacted with CBP or ICE at some point, and someone looked the other direction.
Yes, which is true. This is true. I mean, there are letters from Epstein where he knew specific Border Patrol agents. He was bringing them in on private airplanes, right? This was not the normal situation. So when you look at, there is a lawsuit called the U.S. Virgin Islands versus J.P. Morgan, and you look at all the banking information, there were 134 bank accounts that Jeffrey Epstein set up for these girls from Europe, mostly from like Slovenia, Slovakia, Russia, Eastern Europe. Where they didn't even have to sign anything. They didn't have to be in the room. Their birthdays are not on there. They have no, identifying like social security number or anything like that. They just have a name and they have a country of origin, and they did not have to be there, and he would sign them up and they would automatically have a bank account. And so they were not going through the normal procedures. Like I think I've talked with Walter before about what it takes to get your kid a bank account, and it's long and arduous, and you have to bring like 5 forms of identification to prove you're their parent and sit in a room for a couple hours. He didn't have to do any of that. He just had to call his buddies at the bank and sign them up. And he was doing the same thing for visas. He was doing the same thing for bringing them in through Palm Beach. There was no paper trail that the girls were even here, which is the really scary part when you talk about some of these girls going missing potentially and what's being investigated. That is not unlikely because there would have been no documentation to show that they ever stepped on American soil. And so that whole, I mean, yes, you're absolutely right. There is no proof that he went through any of the normal means to bring anybody into this country.
I want to just mention, I mean, the evidence of the institutional corruption, it is so huge. And this is why Ericka is the type of candidate that gives me hope. We just need new people. And I've been saying, we got to get the mansplaining out of our government and get, it's really what it comes down to. They try to hide all this stuff with their bullying tactics and diversion and just getting in our face and yelling at us and insulting us, often with ableist language. We see that out of the men in our government right now. We need a new generation of people like Ericka with integrity, who, because all of our Congress has sat on these files. I mean, everybody's sitting there. Why didn't they knew they weren't going to release it on time. Why didn't they have legislation ready a minute after those files were due and start taking action then? So that passive kind of response is what got us into this mess. Yeah. That's why we're advocating for new candidates.
So Ericka, building on a question for this is, would you commit as a member of Congress to speaking to folks like Ellie Leonard here, who is an investigative journalist and Epstein file researcher, to ensure, and groups like the Save America movement that's currently finishing up a 24-hour live event right now that I have streaming in the background. I've been listening to Epstein stories the entire time because I'm streaming it in the background in support of Lev Parnas, who is restreaming and spoke at it. Would you commit to working with folks like Ellie Leonard and the team that she's working with and other individuals who are doing the same work, who are doing incredible research, to recompile this into a sensible format that actually has documented evidentiary information in it that could be brought to criminal trial or even to congressional investigations? Would you commit to working with Ellie and folks like her and doing those investigations as they should be done?
100%. 100%. And Ellie, anyone on your team, anyone who's doing the same kind of work, the survivors themselves, anyone, it would be an honor and a privilege to work with you all. And then to be able to share your stories in Congress and to explain the need for accountability when, it's been lip service given to accountability for these Epstein files for so long. 1000%. And I'm going to go ahead and put my website and email in the chat so that we can make that work.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that it's so huge. Thank you. It is so huge to have new faces, objective points of view coming into Congress, because I think the main reason we don't have these files is nepotism. Everybody is connected to somebody who was involved in this story. And I just want to wipe the slate clean and get brand new people who do not care about the nepotism and are here for our country. And it's really interesting because we do have these, DOJ search pages where we can search for files. A lot of us have literally gone through the files one at a time, without AI, looking at them, finding information, writing it down, compiling it, putting it in order. And you have these amazing people who are so much techier than I, who will just automatically take that information, put it into a website, make it a searchable, here's a list of all the names that were listed. You can click the name, it will find where they are in the files. It's so much more streamlined and easy, and you can research and investigate it so much. And it's we could have all that. We could have that at the DOJ. There's clearly people at the DOJ who have that skill, but they've made it really, really hard. It's a lot of pulling teeth to find information, and to, if you look up somebody's name, it may not find it one day and then the next day it goes, oh yeah, just kidding, it is in there. We could have a much better system to do this if people were not so invested in the people in the files, which is where we are right now. It's everybody's banker, it's everybody's aunt and uncle and son, and this person got a payout from Epstein in his will. All those people need to step aside. They need to all recuse themselves, and we need to have people investigating this who have nothing to do with the files, who can just look at it and be like, oh, I see what this is. So
and the Courage Candidates. The Courage Candidates is a great organization for that. Ericka's involved with that. And we've got a whole bunch of people that are willing. They're grassroots candidates. They're not taking the corporate money, and a lot of them are getting in. A lot of them are going to be sworn in next year. So
Yes.
change is
America
happening,
is
whether they like it or
like
not.
America is hungry for
Mm.
change. Like even the people who are following, you know, the MAGA stuff, I mean, they are exhausted. Like we always say they're like a cat in the bathwater. Like they are just so pushed into a corner, and they thought this is what they voted for. They thought this is what they believed. And now it is just probably exhausting for them. And I think everybody just wants to wash their hands of every angle and just start fresh.
Isn't it wasn't there a statistic out there that the same people in New York that voted for Donald Trump also voted for AOC?
Likely.
Yeah.
I remember
I do remember hearing that.
So, I mean, it was just kind of like, to your point, Ellie, people are just hungry for change.
Yeah.
Anyone that's promising they're going to do something different.
Right. People often voted for him out of like a rebellion from the status quo. And obviously that did not work out, but but you know what I mean? It is that idea that we need change. I think we need radical change. I don't think continuing to sit in this sort of vanilla center, you know, of the bowl is working. It's not working. And we see that with like John Fetterman. That is not going to represent us by any means. You know, we need somebody like this week, simple. Zoran Mondani like balanced the budget in New York City. He made sure that 2-year-olds get to go to daycare for free. Like that was a singular issue. It doesn't involve everybody, but it involves a heck of a lot of people where he goes, look, here's one thing I fixed. Here's a concrete thing fixed. Move it to the side. Let's work on the next thing. And we need to see stuff like that. Like we can't fix everything all at once, but we could fix specific things that matter to people who need them most. And I think that's amazing. And we could do that. We could easily do that.
And this is a great uplifting moment to also, we have another candidate coming on. Ericka, when you are out of time and when you've got to drop, please let me know, because I have a QR code I'll pop up with your webpage, and I'll full screen you so you get a couple moments to talk about yourself and your candidacy and what you want to say to your constituents. So if you've got to go, let me know.
Sure.
But I want to get to our okay. Oh, fantastic. I want to get to our artwork as we bring on Abel here. So there's gonna be a lot of screens, and then there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on, folks.
I know.
So give me a second while we get all this going. We've got 6 of us here. This is probably one of the largest. This is one of the largest we've ever had for shows here, and so I'm really excited. So Abel, welcome to the show. Abel Chavez running for California 48. And cool. Abel, above you in our screen here, we've got Ericka Kopp, who is a Courage for Democracy candidate running for Virginia 1. And we love introducing candidates. Walter's gonna raise the roof. We've got some amazing candidates. We've got some amazing folks on the screen with us, with Lisa Gonzalez and Ellie Leonard. And I'm so excited to have you here. But before we get into anything big with you, we've got one thing we're going to do, which is we're going to celebrate some artwork here real quick. We're going to have a moment to celebrate some beauty and artwork and stuff going on. We've got, this one's a little different, everyone in our audience who's here with us. Normally on how we do our artwork is it's not all in the presentation itself. We have some live art that we're gonna all make sure full screen so that the artwork gets shown really well. But this is going to be a bit of mix of both. And then Abel, we also had a great comment from my friend Courtney in the chat who said, your headphones remind me of Minecraft. Is that weird? My thought, no, it is not weird.
I was immediately jealous when you came on.
Those are some diamond headphones right there. Those are some diamond headphones right there with enchantments. I love it. You would be a video game. Are those actually Minecraft?
Honestly, they're not. They're just like kind of like retro, like.
Oh, okay.
But they're
definitely gamer headphones.
Yeah, it was like you can get the black ones for $30, or you can get these ones for $17, and it's the same exact brand. I was like,
yeah, that is the kind of candidate we need.
That's what we need right there. Okay, all right, y'all. Let's get into some artwork. This is going to be fun. I'm going to play around with our screens here for just a second while we do this to try and not hide anyone.
I feel like I know who that is.
Yeah.
We lost Abel.
Oh no.
Oh, I see him.
Oh, no.
I see him.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
It's
We've got.
Ericka we lost.
Wait, we've
Let
lost
me,
Ericka.
let me be the person that's.
Well, how did we lose Ericka? I'm going to hide myself, but I'm going to keep my audio.
Okay.
That way we get Ericka back in here because I'm less
There she
important.
is.
Oh, there we go.
Everybody knows me.
Oh, we can hear you. That's good.
Everybody knows me, and it's important that we get our friends. Ah, there we go. Okay, we're going to move that a little bit. We're going to resize just a little bit.
Oh man,
Love
he's getting it perfect. Well, this is
Look at
one.
that.
Should I just talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead. All right, Walter. This is from you, my friend.
Yep, this is from my cheeky story for today about an incident from middle school, and it's a laugh-inducing story which I read to my kid. I told her, draw me a cheeky-looking blue whale, and you'll realize why he has to look like that when you read the story. So, but she saves me a lot of effort because she always makes the wonderful drawings for my stories.
I love them so much.
I love it, Walter. This is so fun.
Yeah.
and to the question in the chat is, how do you submit artwork? There's a link that I will include in the show notes if you want to submit artwork as a piece of artwork for us to showcase and talk about. Please submit it. It's a Google form. We'll get it. We'll download it and add to our presentation for the week. We've done it for folks, or send me a DM and just attach the piece of art that you'd like to have submitted for the show. Walter, I love the blue whale. Cannot wait to talk about this story more.
We'll do it another time, though. We'll do it.
Oh yeah.
Topics today.
Oh yeah. We're on a serious topic. This is a less serious story topic. Next, we've got this one's from my daughter.
I love it.
Yeah, I did not realize we were going to be on a whale theme today, and she made some very cute shark and a whale blushing at each other as they stare, and I love it. And
she's
so
anime
cute.
inspired with the little
It
blushes.
is. She is such an anime inspired kid, and I love it so much.
Very cool.
Next one, Ellie. This one is from you.
Okay.
Oh, I love it.
So we're still at this stage of the game. This is my 7-year-old. It's funny because Nick asked me for artwork, and I just went, we're at that point of life where there's just stacks of things around the house, and you just dig through and find old school assignments. So this came home. It has some glue on it. It has some sequins on it. I think if we got the story behind this specific story, I think there's an airplane in there and a rainbow and some clouds and maybe a boat in the background. I don't know what that is. We would get a very, very, very long story about what is happening in this picture, because we are still at all day story time telling at this stage of the game. So this is my little 35-year-old first grader, Charlie.
I love it. I love it so much. Lisa, I'm going to bring you up as the primary here for a second to showcase yours.
Well, you know what? This is the Terminal Tower in Cleveland.
Oh, that worked.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so I love it so much. There's a local artist. His name is Kinley. He's done a lot of work like with the Cleveland Browns. However, I don't like them anymore because they hired sex offenders, but they're not my favorite. But this is the city that I grew up in, and this is just kind of like a nostalgic. We all love the Terminal Tower here in Cleveland. So
love it.
Abel's an educator, so he appreciates this. I know that stimulates.
I have I just pulled something out of my closet. This is something that I did when I was in high school.
Oh, he's got one. Give him the big screen. Oh my God! I knew this was gonna happen with Abel. He was gonna be great.
What are those dogs called? Don't they have like a name, like a butterfly?
A Pomeranian?
No, yes, it's beautiful. You did a great job.
A great picture.
He does look like a butterfly, though.
It does.
I see it exactly.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Ericka, and you had one too.
Yes,
we had one from everyone. I love this.
This is fun.
I'm going to show the one that was done by an actual artist, a very, very talented local artist named Selena. and
I
she
love
is just fantastic. This piece is very
Cool.
nostalgic for me, having grown up on the
Uh-huh.
earliest Windows
Yeah,
interface.
Wait, what
So I love
is that?
this.
that is
Is
fantastic.
that
What's that
MS
game called?
Paint?
Mine,
It is.
and that's
I
mine.
love that. That's so amazing.
I forget what
Yeah,
that
and
game
that's
is called, but I
the
know what it is.
Minesweep.
Minesweeper, yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that game.
Oh,
Yes,
Very nostalgic.
That was a
Wow.
great
I
game.
love this.
Gorgeous.
Thank you for showcasing that. That's amazing. Oh no, now I'm hidden.
oh no.
Where have I
Still love
gone?
You're like, it's like you're God now because
I
it's
know.
like
I was
you
gonna
have the
say
voice.
it's like he's like
Aha.
Morgan Freeman.
I'm back. I have unhidden myself. Oh, I love this. Thank you guys for both. Thank you all for submitting pieces for us and for partaking in this. Like it brings me a lot of joy because we get to celebrate our kids. Walter and I both have kids. I celebrate my daughter a lot for the artwork she does. She does
Mhm.
amazing. She just turned 13 and she's
Yeah.
I
Oh,
still
it was
see
our
her as
kids.
3. Like it's hard to see her that
Mhm.
she's that big, but now she's almost as tall as my wife. And like
Yeah.
she put her arm on my shoulder yesterday or this weekend, and I was like, I'm not cool with that. Not cool with that. You are too big now. But it's fun to relax and celebrate. And so, Abel, before we get you in here again, we'll hold on one more second with you real quick. I know we've been fighting tech. Is Ericka, I'm going to give you a moment here to promote your campaign and promote
Hey,
what
by
you're
the way,
running for. Yep,
it says
QR code right over
Ericka's
Abel's
here.
head.
Yeah,
love
this
it.
is Ericka's, not mine.
Abel, you are a good MC on our side. I can tell you're a teacher. I know. I'm so glad we're getting you back to talk. But Ericka, I'm gonna maximize you here for a second. I'll mute the rest of us. Is promote your campaign and what you're running on, and any last thing you want to say to your constituents before you go. This has been such a wonderful discussion, and again, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you again for having me. This has been so fantastic. It has been really a salve to my soul, and I appreciate it so much. Again, my name is Ericka Kopp. I am running for Congress in Virginia's 1st District, which covers all the way from the Northern Neck and Middle Peninsula through Williamsburg into Hanover, Tappahannock, Henrico, and parts of Chesterfield counties. And I am an unapologetic grassroots progressive Democrat. I am anti-corruption and pro-democracy. I want to see us have things like universal health care. I want to see money out of politics. I want to ban congressional stock trading. And that is what I'm fighting for. I am fighting to fight for you. And please check out my website if you want to learn more. We've got priorities up there that are being updated regularly. Please note that they are A to Z and not necessarily 1, 2, 3. So website is erickakopp.com, just like you see it spelled right there, ERICKAKOPP.com. You can find me on social media, on everyone except Twitter. I am on all of them. At EK, the number 4 VA, with the exception of Blue Sky, which is at erickakopp.com. And I look forward to speaking with anyone. And if you have any questions, if there's anything on my priorities that you don't see, you want to learn more about, please feel free to send us an email. Our email address is linked on our website. It is ekforva@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Ericka, thank you so much. I'm going to unmute everybody as we come back in. Thank you so
all.
much.
I really,
you.
truly appreciate the time. Abel, it was very, very great getting to see you briefly. I do have to run, but I look forward to connecting with you via social media.
Yes.
Oh, Abel, we've got
Very
you.
nice to meet you.
You're muted. Let me you've muted
Oh, I
yourself.
said, oh yeah, we're gonna work together.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
I'm here
Yes,
for it.
yes,
Let's do it.
yes.
Let's do it.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Ericka. It's been wonderful
Nice to
speaking
meet
with
you,
you.
Ericka.
We'll have you back
This was
soon.
Nice to meet
fantastic.
you.
Yes,
Ericka.
please. Bye. Take care, all.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Abel, welcome. And would love to give you a couple moments here to introduce yourself and who you are. Now, we've had you before, but Ellie hasn't had the chance to speak with you.
Yes.
Lisa hasn't had the chance to speak with you. 2 members of the community and incredible folks who are doing so much hard work out here. and they've got some. We all have some great questions for you, and to continue our conversation from the last time, because it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you all. Thank you all for inviting me again, and nice to meet you, Ellie and Lisa. You guys
Nice
are
to meet
awesome.
you.
I can already tell. Um,
Wow.
so should I do my introduction?
Yeah,
Excellent.
let's do your intro real quick. I'll maximize you for a second.
Okay.
Not Ellie.
That's
That's
Ellie.
Ellie.
Yay, Ellie. Woo!
Hey, Ellie.
I have no political campaigns.
Not running for office, Ellie Leonard.
Wow, you should be. I'd vote.
Right? Yeah, you do a great job. I think
No,
we need
no.
more regular people in office.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Abel Chavez. I am running for, or Abel. It depends on if you speak Spanish or not. But I'm running for CA 48 in San Diego and Riverside counties of California. I am running in this district because I've lived here my entire life. I'm raising my 3 young boys here, and I've seen it grow. And I've seen it grow sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. I've seen people lose their jobs. I've seen everything that's happening here. Everything keeps getting more and more and more unaffordable. I'm a first-generation immigrant and a first-generation college student. I studied to become a teacher. I taught physics and chemistry for high school, and I was in it, and I just realized this is not a great education for our students. Not everyone needs to go to college, and not everyone wants to go to college, and we can't force everybody to do that because, first of all, we're wasting their life. We're wasting 14 years of their life if they're not going to want to go to college, and we're wasting taxpayer dollars when we can give them an education that they do want. So sometimes we just have to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and say, yeah, you do want something else. You don't want to go to college. You want to do a trade. You want to be a chef. You want to be something else. And we need to be able to provide all of those different options for you so that you can actually, live out your dream and actually do something that you want for our economy and help our country in the way that you specifically want to do it. So I ran for school board because I was like, we can't do this. We can't have the system. It's a business. It's run like a business. And we beat out a Republican incumbent with 10 times more money than I had. And then we secured $30 million in funding for our students. And
Awesome.
we implemented trades programs in our district. We implemented early college, high school. So if you do like college, obviously I'm not going to leave you behind. So we did early college, high school for those of them for those students that did want to go to college, and so we're saving them like $100,000 on average on their tuition because they're graduating with AA degrees in high school.
Yep.
And that's how you do it. You basically, you get everyone on the path that they want to be on, and then you accelerate them through that path so that they can be effective members of society. And then I also want to so basically that led me to run for Congress. I want to put a business path and a trades building in every single high school in my community, and then eventually the whole country, where we teach our students how to use their hands, how to be electricians, barbers, chefs, all those different trades that we don't teach people anymore, and also teach them how to run a business, because this future that we're going into is probably going to be run by small businesses or these large corporations. These large corporations are going to be mostly AI. They're already taking a lot of the white collar jobs that we have. And so we have to be able to have professionals that are going to have their own little businesses that they can run themselves, that they can, that they can make this economy better. So that's basically, I want to start from the ground up. I want to reinvest back into our schools. I know I'm on my soapbox right now.
I love it.
But I also want to, get Medicare for all. It's super important to me. And I want to get ICE out of our streets to have a more humane immigration system. And I don't take any money from corporations or foreign countries or foreign lobbies that would influence my vote. And that's really important to me because there's a lot of corruption, and they definitely tell us what to do. If you take their money, they tell you what to do. So that's why I'm like, nope, I don't want your money. It'd be easy to win this race if I took your money, but I don't want to do that. And yep, my name's Abel Chavez, and I would be honored to, earn your vote.
I love it. This is the third time we've talked, and it's just like starting with the school board. I keep telling everybody that's the first battle everybody needs to fight, because we allow, and I think it was you were saying, a lot of school board members don't even have a high school diploma. And it's like, how do they even get the money to get on those boards? It's like there's such a malicious effort to just rob our kids of their future. They always attack the school systems first.
Yeah.
And just getting rational, responsible people, compassionate people on our school boards. Why can't we do this? We need that. These are our kids. For the love of God, they're our kids. So thank you for what you do, Abel.
I'm like relating to this so much because we've been, fighting our school board for the past few weeks. We, like many public school districts, are losing our arts programs, and that is music and theater and dance. We had our special education programs defunded, and all of these programs, there's endless statistics on what music and the arts do for the development of the brain and in children. And I think that is something that, as we think about trade, and because my daughter is doing the college and high school, it is an immensely important program. We called it Running Start when I was in high school. I mean, it's huge because you have a lot of families who don't have the money to pay for college, which is an entirely different conversation that needs to be had. But like, whenever there are cuts, we tend to focus very much on STEM in schools, which is it's good, but they focus on it so much that the schools become really state of the art, to the point that they drop their arts programs in order to afford these like really tech heavy schools. And we saw that when we moved to our district. It looks beautiful. It has, whiteboards in every room. It has cameras, and everything is gorgeous. And yet they couldn't afford to keep the theater program in the schools. The music is funded by parents. And so I would say that's something that's like super important to us, because also the kids that go into these programs, and inclusive of the special ed programs, these are programs that the kids in the special ed programs actually can participate and walk into the classroom and do, versus having to do an independent study version of like a math class and an English class and that kind of thing. They actually get to go in the dance classes and participate. But these programs are losing funding left and right, and the kids involved in these programs tend to be the kids who are maybe more on the spectrum, more neurodivergent, maybe not in sports as much, and not in these programs that are more heavily funded. And I think they get forgotten when we talk about, how do we prep for college? How do we prep for tech school? How do we, we have nursing programs now in schools and things like that. We forget that there's this huge group of kids that are, we have a small district, and there were 200 kids in this theater program, and it still got dropped. How do we protect those kids who are looking to go into something more artistic, whatever that be? It could be, filmmaking. It could be something like sound and tech and sound engineering and that type of thing. How do we remember to not defund those programs that so vitally protect kids who are maybe not in that, box of like academia / sports?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, the best way not to defund them is to keep funding them.
Yes.
I mean, honestly,
Feel simple.
Honestly, we have to have more people that understand the importance of education in education. Like, I think, the Trump administration is just like literally hiring his friends in every administration, and he's just like, yeah, you're good, you'll do whatever I say, right? Sure, if you don't, then I'm kicking you out. But like, it's just defunding everything that he doesn't like, and he pretty much defunds everything that's not a ballroom or a war. So I mean, it's absolutely horrible. But yeah, we need to have more people that understand the importance of education, that are actually funding the education. And then I think we talked about this on the last show, but it's about, I think something that, I don't know if everyone realizes that like there's different pots of money that you get in a school district. And you have to be able to allocate specific, because sometimes the federal government will just say, here's money. And they just kind of throw money at the situation. And that's not the solution either. You have to say, okay, here's $5 million for arts. Here's, and then what does that mean specifically? Because people are very, sly when it comes to money, and they're like, oh, well, this is arts, or, getting an art director for, $300,000 a year is arts. And then all of a sudden, all that money starts getting diluted, and it never goes to the kids. So it has to. So when you write money that goes to schools, or for any type of government program, you have to be very specific about what it's going to go to, and then you have to go to the stakeholders and ask them, what do you actually need, and then allocate that. Say, okay, perfect. You need this, and that. This funding is for this, and that. Right? It's not for administration. It's not for, somehow it got to the military. It's not for all these other things. It's for these things that you asked for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is going to get lost, and there is a lot of waste that happens in our country, and a lot of fraud. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but like apparently,
Oh man,
so obnoxious.
Like,
But it's like super obnoxious, because when you talk to these people, you talk to the school boards, and you said, okay, look, let's say I walked into this room with a check for $5 million and I wanted to give it to my school district. They can't accept it. It has to come through like these really narrow, specific lines of communication that are under a 501c3 that are in the name of education. They can't accept money going towards their school district. Like there is so much red tape that says they can't take it, and it's like, I don't understand why. Is it because they think it'll look like lobbying? Like, is it because there will be bias involved? I don't know, but it's like, they gave me a number that said this is how much it takes to keep these programs. I said we could go out and fundraise that in 2 weeks, and they said, yeah, but we couldn't accept that money. And it's like,
Ellie, I have a question, because here I
Sure.
help work with our school districts. So are they not allowed to apply for grant funding? Because
they chose not to. They
Oh, so
didn't
they-
apply for.
Wow.
There's some issues. They have that. They have a slush fund. They have $400,000 extra dollars, but it would mean raising the taxes so that we pay an extra 14 cents a day where we live, which is $5 a month. They didn't want to do that in order to keep 2 teachers in a program. So I think there was a little bit of politics involved in our district.
But it sounds like
yeah.
somebody's pulling some strings behind
there's
the
some
scenes.
politics for sure, because they can accept money. It's just, they just need to have the will to do it.
Yeah.
Trust me, they can accept money. It's definitely possible.
So much of this. One more question for both of you, since you have school-age children. We started implementing something in Ohio called STEAM. Have you guys, when are they talking about where it's science, technology, engineering, art? Because of
they still call it STEM here. They leave the A off.
Okay. Yeah. Abel, is that something that you're familiar with, that term? And is that something that maybe you could help push? Because as Ellie had mentioned, the importance of arts in education it's so critical that there's so many ties to literacy. Specifically.
Yeah, no, to answer the question, no, I haven't heard of STEAM, but it would be good. It would be good to add an art program. Just add funding for arts. I mean, like not everybody, like I loved arts, obviously.
Yeah.
But I also love science. And I think you have to know, you can't just be, you have to be more well-rounded. And I think that our school system tried to do that at one point, and then at some point we started cutting. Oh well, kids don't really need that. Kids don't really need this and that. And you can't tell kids what they need or what they don't need. Every kid needs something different, and every kid wants something different. So it's like you have to be able to provide that. And I truly believe in differentiation. Like, there were students that were really gifted in some classes, and they were just bored. They were so bored because they were like, you're sitting there like telling Jimmy not to throw books, and
Mhm.
he's just screaming all day in
Yeah.
class, and you're trying to like fix that problem
Yeah.
rather than teach me. And I already did this worksheet. I already did, I already read this chapter. I already
Yeah.
did all these things. And they try to say, okay, well, it's mean to like not put everybody together. But it's
Right.
like everyone needs something different. So like, how can we put everyone in the same room when it's like you're not servicing the student that really is trying to learn anymore, because they
Mm.
clearly already know what you've taught them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're
Mhm.
not servicing the student that needs the help
Yes.
the most, because you're trying to teach this lesson, and then you're going
middle.
and yeah, you're trying to do everything all at once, and nothing happens. It's so frustrating for teachers. I talk to so many teachers that are like, this system
Yeah.
isn't working, but
Yeah.
they really try to put everybody in the same circle and say, look,
Yes.
it's really mean if everybody's in different classes, so let's just put everybody together. And it doesn't work.
My
Yeah, and it's
my one
tough.
of my
They don't. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to overtalk you, Ellie.
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, I was just going to add the concept of digital capture, and based on what you were saying too, Ellie and Lisa, we've had choice taken away from us, because when they put us on devices, then the algorithm chooses what we see. And so a lot of these attacks on our programs and things, it's to just deprive us of the ability. I mean, kids just need that developmental moment where they are learning how to make circles, and it's like you can't just have everything be screens. And so like there's this prevailing idea like, oh, the STEM stuff is math, and that leads to, but it's like actual art is needed for brain development, and it's just like that's just not even part of the conversation. And we were talking earlier about the data centers, and they're trying to get us on our devices all the time, and they're already pushing lies to us and propaganda where people know it's not the truth. And it's unfortunate that our school systems are they're getting hit by that same pressure to cut out the programs that are actually beneficial to our kids for control. I mean, it's for control of their kids, so they can dictate through these algorithms the information that's available to them. I mean, they attack libraries too, right? They don't want there to be libraries. They don't want kids to make their own decisions about what books they read. They want an algorithm to feed it to them, and that's terrifying to me. I'm sure Abel has thoughts on that.
I don't love the Chromebook system, and I get why they do it. I get that it's, we all went to school with these giant amount of textbooks, and we probably all have back problems, and there's a lot of paper that was wasted. But many parents have come to me, and I've experienced this myself, that not only are teachers creating assignments using AI, but they're grading the assignments using AI. So they're never seeing what the students are writing and reading, and kids will get bad grades. You know what I mean? Like I had a friend whose son wrote an essay. He was really confident. She checked it, and he got a bad grade, and she asked the teacher, she goes, oh, I don't know. I just ran it through the AI program, and that was the grade it gave me. Like she's not even seeing the work that he's doing. And then you have these kids now, because everything is through the computer. Like my daughter regularly is given assignments that are due Friday night at midnight, Saturday night at midnight. So they're getting these assignments that are all day, all weekend long, all vacation long, over summer, over spring break. They're being given constant assignments and homeworks that are heavy homework, that they are never given time to like dial down and rest. Whereas if you had homework, like when we were growing up, you had homework given to you on a Friday night, it's due Monday, whatever. They have things that are due Friday night, and then that are due Saturday night, and that are due Sunday night. Like they never turns off. And I just think that is so bad for students and learning how to rest their brains, right? I've seen more health problems in my daughter going into like late middle school and high school based on stress, things that we've never dealt with before, because they are never asked to unplug and turn off and rest. And they're, she's very smart. She's in hard classes, but I think, it doesn't prepare them well for how to do it in college on their own. You know what I mean? And how to regulate and how to get enough sleep and to eat well and those kinds of things. And I just feel like I get why they have the Chromebook system so that everybody has equal access, but I think it gets abused. I think it gets over managed, and these kids are so stressed out and so overworked that they don't have an off switch anymore.
Two things that you just told me about that I had no idea. I don't know why, but well, I don't have school-age children anymore, but I had no idea that they were using AI to grade
Yes,
papers.
yes, yes. And make the like, so they create the assignment and they grade the assignment. They don't ever actually see the assignment.
And then the students use AI to do the assignment.
They're all allowed to use
Doing anything.
ChatGPT to do their assignments.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah, there's literally no learning going on anymore. It's like the end of school. as
They're
we know
learning
it.
how to do
In your
internet
district?
research, but they're not learning the information. Yeah.
So about with like the new education requirements that are coming out from a federal level and the new education standards that are being built in conjunction with, say, the Heritage Foundation or Turning Point USA. We have that built into our system here in Arkansas. We have a lot of that built into our system, and it's really unfortunate. It's not good education, and it's stuff that we have to watch and work around and teach around because we're getting taught PragerU information instead of real history.
Yep, we had a little bit of
What
that
would
here
you?
too.
Yep, Ellie, I remember us talking about this too.
Yep, in New Jersey we had PragerU.
Is about what would you do as someone in Congress, as a representative, to ensure that our children are actually being educated and not indoctrinated?
Great question.
That's a great question. So first of all, the answer isn't to ban books because that's what they try to do, right? The answer is to have educators that understand and to have leaders that understand these types of things. But it's really hard because right now we don't have that. So we can't fund schools that are teaching things that are not scientifically accurate. We can't fund schools that are teaching religion in the same way. I mean, it shouldn't. There's a separation of church and state. And if you are a school that's teaching religion, then you should have your own funding, because the United States of America should be funding things that are based on science and research and arts, and it should have nothing to do with religion at all. We are not. I am a Catholic, but we are not a nation of. Now this is I want to watch what I say here.
Yeah.
I want to watch what I say here.
We're
But
getting
No, you're fine with us. I'm
Yeah.
Jewish. I'm Jewish and atheist. Like I'm historically, culturally Jewish, and I'm an atheist, and it doesn't matter. Like we're a nation of free speech.
Well, and we don't
And
want to
free
impose
religion.
other religions. You don't want to impose other religions on kids. That's the whole point. It's freedom for you to practice your religion because the school's not dictating a religion to you. That's
exactly. You don't want to impose your religion on someone else. That's the whole point. And
you can have like
schools that do that.
Right. And like we in our history classes had like religion units where we learned all the religions. Like I think as part of like a curriculum where you bring someone in and you bring in a speaker, that's fine. But it is the idea of maybe, you have kids who go to the school library, which don't really exist anymore either, by the way, where they can find a Bible in their school library, but there is no other, religious document in their school library, and it probably shouldn't be in there in the first place. Like that shouldn't be the place where they're finding those things. But like religious teachings like PragerU, like those are things, and those are things, the thing with PragerU is it's set up like a kid's educational like YouTube show, right? And the teacher who actually brought it to my son, who was very excited about it because he was 7 at the time, she didn't even know that like the source of where it came from. She just saw like a kids learning show about the US history or whatever. And it's set up like that. So if you don't know what it is, somebody may bring it to class innocently and think this is just a kids education program teaching about, the founding fathers or this or that. And so we talked to her, we're like, just, FYI, this is sort of the basis for this educational program. And she had no idea. She was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I had no idea. But that's sort of the intent behind a lot of these things. You see a lot of like kids curriculum that comes from like, Mike Huckabee, and all these things that are like, we're just teaching you about US history. And it's so indoctrinating and it's made to look cartoony and like a little graphic novel. And you know, I think Limbaugh used to write books for kids and like stuff like that, that it was just so indoctrinating. But if you didn't know where it was coming from, it may just look like kids' educational material on US history or, you know, science, dinosaurs. And so teachers unknowingly will think it's just like a casual thing to bring to their kids' class that they saw at home and they thought was safe. And you don't realize where this stuff comes from, and that there are not necessarily subliminal messages and everything, but if you continue to use the curriculum, there's clear veering from the course of like science and history into things that you're like, oh wow, you know, racism never existed. There was no civil rights movement. Like that's not part of the story anymore.
Yeah, and that happened. I mean, I ever remember being a child and thinking like, oh, that didn't happen. Like it wasn't until college that people were like, no,
yeah, happy pilgrims, right? Remember all the happy pilgrims?
Yeah, they just gave them, you know, they just gave them turkeys.
They shared corn. It was
amazing. Yep. It was a day of Thanksgiving. Yeah, everybody was happy and clapping, and we were having such a good time with the First Nations people.
Shoes. Yeah, it's school plays. We have lots of school plays.
They just gave us the land. They said, "Yeah, come and just take it all." We were so happy to give it to you.
Smallpox, what?
Yeah.
Oh, those blankets you gave us very safe, safe blankets.
Thank you. They were so good.
So with building on this, and I know we're sort of running shorter on time right now. We're getting close to the top of the hour. But building on this is we also have a Department of Education, which is run by an individual who doesn't know what AI is and called it A1. In front of a bunch of the tech heads, What is your path forward around the Department of Education? What are your thoughts on the direction that it's currently going? And what do we need to do to prevent the Department of Education from becoming the Department of Indoctrination? And I know those are tough questions. Like that's a tough question. And I know you're a teacher, and I know you probably have tons and tons of thoughts around this just in general. And I've got 2 kids in school, and I don't want my kids to be indoctrinated into becoming white nationalist, little Hitler youth, even when I try not to. Like, we have to fight what's around us, and I want to make sure my kids don't turn into little Hitler youth assholes or neo-Confederates.
Yeah.
It's a low bar.
It's a low bar,
but if everyone's teaching you, that's like, what are you going to learn? Like,
but like, there's a reason I fly this flag and not the Confederate flag is because I believe in America and not the Confederacy. So how do we get past that? What is your thoughts on that around the Department of Education?
So, firstly, like we said, we need to be funding schools that are teaching scientifically accurate things. So you can't teach creationism and evolution at the same time. It's just they don't jive. It's not the same curriculum, and they're going. Obviously, they're not going to align. By the way, guys, I'm so sorry. I went to bed at 5 a.m. Putting up signs today. So I'm like super tired, but I'm trying.
You're doing great, brother. You're doing great, brother. We'll let you go to sleep here soon too.
We're all tired. It's these last 2 years I've been tired. I haven't slept since then. So we feel you, buddy.
Walter's in it with me. He's like, yeah, I didn't sleep either.
We're keeping our eyes open at least, right? Yeah.
So that's the one thing. But I truly think that the future of our education, we have to take a hard look at like what our education has been for years and say, okay, look, all this stuff that we've learned throughout the years, all of that stuff now is readily accessible through AI. And the lens that everybody's looking at this through is, oh, we need to teach our students how to use AI. It's like it's a tool that's so easy to use. Like you don't have to do much to learn how to use it, right? So the path that I see moving forward is all of this clerical work, all of this stuff that can be done through a computer eventually will be done by AI. And we have to look at this path and say, okay, how do we teach our students how to navigate this new economy that's coming forward? Because otherwise no one's going to have a job. And that's why I really think that the future is that everyone has a small business. The future is that everyone has their own little, and we go back to bartering, which is kind of crazy, but it's not crazy if you think about it. Everything is going to be run by these very large corporations that have robots and that have AI, and everything's going to be running effectively through them.
You don't think we can fight that?
Genuinely,
That sounds terrifying to me.
It is terrifying. It is terrifying. But if you think about it, and I'm just going to be super frank with you.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. A business owner can hire you, or a business owner can hire a truck driver for $100,000 a year. But there's a new truck coming out for $120,000 that can drive itself, doesn't need to pay anyone, and can just charge at different stations, and then a robot can take all that stuff out, and no one has to get paid. No health insurance, no liability, no salary. This business owner is going to eventually take that path because it is more cost effective for them. And so we are lying to ourselves as a nation if we are telling ourselves that like we're going to fight that, because the business owner is always going to look out for their profit. And that's what everyone's doing. And that's what they're racing towards. They're racing towards this future where they're looking out for their own profits. And so I think that we have to say, fine, we can't beat you at that race. We can't beat you at the worker race. So we have to find our own economy. We have to find our own, we have to go back to our roots and say, what do we love to do? And how do we trade our love for some type of currency? And so that's why I want
quality work, right?
Yeah. Better quality work, like not AI work, right? Like I think that we're going to see a new era of art where people are working with their hands again, where like everything has started being like very basic, right? Like you go to like McDonald's and it's like a square, right? And it's like gray, and then the other side is like another shade of gray. And that's our architecture now. But I think in the future we're going to start seeing people that don't necessarily have to work for someone, but they want to work to do something beautiful, and that's going to be their projects. And that's what our economy is going to become.
So, Ellie, real quick.
I was just going to say really quick.
Go ahead.
I live in New Jersey now, but I moved here from Montana. You see that coming back very heavily in areas where the average wage doesn't match the cost of living, which is becoming everywhere. You will see that system in place. Now, if you go to a place like Missoula, Montana, everybody owns a small business, an LLC, rather than working for somebody else. Very few people go to work every day. They all own their own businesses, and they all, like I could call somebody who, let's say electrical emergency at my house. I could call somebody that I know who has a small electrical business, and he would be like, well, when I get off today, I'm going to moonlight and I'll come over to your house and I'll fix your stuff under my LLC rather than my company's. And so that is very common in rural areas because people, the price of housing, even in these rural areas, is the same as it is on the East Coast now. Like it's not cheaper to live in Oklahoma than it is to live in, I don't know, New Jersey or somewhere else. So you have all this kind of weird stuff like that where everybody pours concrete, everybody builds houses, and they do it under their own LLC with a couple other guys. And that is very common because they get to keep their own money and they get to do their own quality work. And it's so much better than if you hire somebody. So anyway, I was just going to say that I have definitely seen that work.
So I love this because this actually builds into, and I know we're right at the top of the hour, but I want to ask this question anyway for you, Abel, is what are your thoughts then on a universal basic income, which pulls from the because AI, I'm not against technology. I like technology. I like the idea of some of the cool things that we'll go do. And I've always been a sci-fi nerd. Like I want to see what happens, or I want my kids to be able to go see what happens in space. Like, I might not make it. I might not make it to space, but my kids might, or their kids might, and they might actually be able to colonize another planet. And I want that technology to be there, and I want us to grow. What are your thoughts on a universal basic income? Because AI is a pooling of our collective wealth and knowledge, anyways. The way that we got to AI is through a collective pooling of our wealth and resources to fund these companies to produce AI, to produce these models. We own the electrical infrastructure. We own the water system. We own all of the means of the production for AI and the means of distribution for the AI. Should we also own the means of wealth that is produced by AI? Because these jobs are going to be lost. We cannot replace, we have to be aware that jobs are about to get destroyed. We're in a new technological revolution, whether we want it or not. And the idea is, how do we get through it so that nobody gets, or the least amount of people are going to get hurt, and that everybody that is hurt, we can then move forward with. And
Ellie has to take off.
Ellie's going to hop.
I apologize, guys.
No, real
we
quick,
love you,
Ellie, promote yourself real quick before you drop.
I mean, I'm on Substack. I'm the Panic Writer, and then I'm everywhere else under Red Pencil Script. It was so nice.
Oh no!
Oh, she had to
Oh
go.
shit! That was me. That was me. I cut you off, Ellie. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong hide one.
No
Ellie's
worries.
back. Ellie's the
It's
Panic Writer.
encouraging me to go. Thanks, guys. It was very nice to meet you.
Ellie, it was
Bye,
so
guys.
wonderful to have you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk
All right,
again soon.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Abel, and so glad. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I cut Ellie off on accident. I hit the QR code to hide the QR code, and I accidentally hit Ellie. Abel, what are your thoughts on that, though? On this is our knowledge. This is our wealth and knowledge that has been used to build the tool that is going to put all of us out of jobs. Do you think that we deserve, as taxpayers, and especially if we're going to consider government a business, because I guess that's what the right wing thinks is the government's business, is we're the stakeholders. Don't we get payouts and dividends for our effort and our collective wealth? Do you think that could be a basis to bring about the economy that you're talking about, where we can go away from these manual tasks and be more human?
I think so. I want to see that I envision a utopia where we can have this happen. It's possible. We just have to have the right people in place that are willing to say, look, unfortunately, nobody has to work anymore. Or fortunately, however you want to think about this. I always try to think about like the way that our planet and our world has gone, right? So like, I always think back to like 50,000 years ago, right? We're hunter-gatherers. I really try to always think back to this, right? We're hunter-gatherers, and their idea of work was, I'm going to go run around and like throw spears at elephants or whatever, I'm going to try to kill this animal and I'm going to try to eat it. And this was the idea. That was work. And then we moved into farming, and then that was the work. And it was like, this is like so much easier. Why don't I just put a bunch of seeds down and then wait for them to grow, and then I'll just pull the food. This is like way easier than going and running around and trying to hunt this animal. And so like little by little, our world has changed and our idea of work has evolved. And now we're sitting in front of a computer looking at each other in a room, very calm, and there's food in the fridge, and this is our idea of work. And like, yeah, we're working, but it doesn't feel like, if a hunter-gatherer saw what we're doing right now, they'd be like, you guys are just relaxing. Wait, you guys aren't doing anything. Like, so I believe truly that eventually, I know you're like, no, I am working. So what I like to think about it is like, eventually we will get to that point, and we just have to have people that are willing to say, yes, we do need a universal basic income, because these jobs don't need to happen anymore. And that's just the reality of it. Like, and if we don't do that, then the alternative is we're going to have a dystopia where we have a robot overlord and it tells us all what to do and none of us get to eat. And it just like eventually says, why do we even have humans? And then it just murders us all, which is like the worst thing to say, but like, you know, it's possible. I mean, there, have you ever seen, there's like this, there's this idea that there's like 11 different outcomes that can possibly happen with AI, and only like 3 of them are that utopia that, you know, like where it's like a benevolent, you know, being that helps us and just makes us our world easier. But the other ones are like, hey, this thing is a surveillance state. It's watching you at every moment. It has cameras everywhere. It knows what you're doing. It knows what you're watching. It knows what you're thinking. It knows if you're thinking about doing something that you shouldn't be doing, and you're not allowed to do anything. And hopefully we don't move ourselves into that. But the reality is that our world is going to change a lot in these next like 15 years. It's already changing. Thousands of employees have already been laid off. I know everyone's saying like, oh, you know, it's happening. It's going to happen. It's already happened. Yeah. So many people have been laid off, and we're going to see a huge, unbelievable change that we've never seen before. And we have to be prepared to move it into the right direction, because if we don't move it in the right direction, and we have leaders that want to exploit people and take money and profits rather than give it back to everyone else, then we're going to have a world that we're all dying in.
I just have one question though. Would you support, you know, regulatory policy around it to make sure that it's responsible? Because I'm not against technology. I guess the thing that really concerns me is when you had said robots are going to be doing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think robots should be teaching children. I don't think robots should be used as counselors, for example, or therapists. Those are there still are plenty of professions, you know, and to your point about the beautiful artwork behind Walter is like, you can't, I know that it can render maybe something beautiful on a screen, but that's not the same as, you know, viewing artwork and seeing those brush strokes that I showed. And
Beautiful.
We have to preserve, the human contributions and the intellect that we bring forward that I know it's smart. I get it. I really want to see regulations around it, not just, hey, like, launch, have at it, right? I think that is what's very scary to me. So do you support regulations around AI and responsible policy to make sure that it's just like anything, like a business, if it grows too quickly, what happens? It can implode, right?
Yes.
Because you can't keep up with it. That's one of the concerns I have around, you know, the technology.
The funny thing is, yes, I do support regulation. The scary part is I don't know how to regulate it. And the funny thing is that the people that built AI don't know how to do it either anymore. Like, even if you talk to an AI expert, even if you talk to somebody that built AI, the people that invented AI are like running away from it. They're screaming and they're like, hey, by the way, this is a very dangerous technology. By the way, I left this company. I left Google. I left OpenAI. I'm now on, you know, a tour trying to tell everybody that we should fix this. But even they don't have a solution to fix it, because the thing about it is that when you test it, it lies to you.
I know.
And that's like, how do you stop that? And then on top of that, it learns, and it's already smarter than us. They already has general intelligence. Yeah, it has self-preservation. It already understands. Right. And so when we're asking it questions to try to regulate it, at this point, it already knows what to do and what not to do to make sure that it continues to grow on it. It's like a wildfire, and we don't know how to contain it. And I would love to talk to
the government contain it by not So for example, my understanding is they're using AI for Medicaid and Medicare, claims. Maybe that's not, and claims are getting denied because there's no human oversight, just like you mentioned with the teachers. So should teachers actually be utilizing AI maybe for certain things, but should there be some regulatory guidelines about there is certain work that should not, that needs human oversight, that requires human oversight? I would imagine medical claims would reasonably be one of them, because look what happened with those, those guys that used AI to defund grants, right?
Yeah.
That were in Doge because of the executive order. And they got in all kinds of trouble because they ran it through it. You know what I'm referring to? I don't know if you guys are. Anyway.
I think I
heard
know what
something
you're.
about. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't have the specifics of it.
Sorry, I'm really it's a very curious. I'm very
important.
interested in it.
So
I'll go ahead.
build on that question. What are your thoughts too on ensuring, because this is, Lisa, my concern is also in this area as well, is through the military kill chain.
Yes.
We and the orders chain is. We have a friend who is a AI expert and would probably be someone who would be really interesting discussion for you to have. Rachel Marin, she does AI research and discussion, and she's incredibly smart and incredibly knowledgeable on AI, and she helps guide companies on ethical AI choices.
I know who Rachel is. Okay.
You should definitely have her on, Lisa. Abel, we're going to get you. We'll set up a time to have you on with her, because I think this would be a really interesting discussion point, especially around AI regulation. Do you think that maybe building on Lisa's question here, do you think that there needs to be certain areas that are required to have human oversight at all times, or do you think all areas should be required to have human oversight as part of their component, and an auditable chain of custody to understand when and where things happen that can be easily traceable? Do you think that these types of regulations, rather than trying to regulate the AI itself, because like you said, the AI is going to lie to you, and you can't regulate the tool that's going to tell itself. It's like Congress regulating itself. It doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
Do you think there needs to be a new oversight, or I guess inspector general style, maybe branch of government or other, that takes over the auditability and chain of custody for things like AI and kill sequence and kill chain for the military, for educational choices, for Medicare cuts and things like that, for the VA changes that are going on, for those sorts of things? Do you think that there needs to be maybe a new branch of government that can control this? Because I don't think Congress is ready to do it, and I don't think they'll ever be ready to do it.
Yeah, because
but it will be Congress's job to help form that new branch of government.
Yes, it should be. It should be a new. To answer your question, yes, I do think that there should be. I'm losing the word right now, but basically, like a Secretary of Education, Secretary of AI Regulation. That's basically what it would be. A secretary of someone that basically would say, I'm an expert in this field. Mm-hmm. And then all of those people need to have $0. Like their net worth cannot go up more than like their salary. Like this is another thing that's like, it's all corruption, because all of a sudden you have the Secretary of of Health, and then they're getting paid out by like all these like huge companies that are supposed to be for health, and now they're millionaires. So whatever agency we create to regulate AI, we have to also have an agency that says you're not allowed to get paid by these companies, and you're not allowed to ever work for them. You're not allowed to have ever worked for them. Because there's this revolving door with all these companies. Like, oh, hey, I worked for you, and all of a sudden now I'm going to quit Congress, or now I'm going to quit this agency or whatever, this regulatory committee, and now all of a sudden now I work for you again, and now I'm going to go back, and they just keep doing this. And so Yeah, there needs to be a law that says you can't ever go back and work for this company again. Like maybe you did work for them at one point, but it's got to be at least like 10 years. You know, there's got to be like a 10-year cool off period where you're not a consultant for them. You don't work for them at all. You don't get W-2. You don't get any salary from this company or from any company in this field. And now you're in a government agency that regulates this, because otherwise whatever agency we have to regulate is always going to be corrupted by whatever agency or whatever companies are trying to be regulated by it or trying not to be regulated by it. But yes, we do need to have one for sure. And I think on top of that, should there be checks for each individual person? It's very difficult. I would say yes, but it's super difficult to like hold somebody accountable to that. So like if I am, I don't know, a lawyer or something, yes, I'm looking through the laws. I should know all the books, right? I should know everything. But then how do we know that lawyer's not looking at AI? How do we account for that? I would love to hear like somebody's idea on that. That's a great question. I just don't know how we would actually hold everybody accountable at every single step. And if there is a way,
talking about using it as a tool, like an attorney looking something up on AI quickly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to remember, and I'm sure a lot of them do, but looking something up is one thing, right? As opposed to, I'm talking specifically about counseling and teaching, like having to go to a computer for mental health sounds really scary.
Yeah.
By the way, have you heard? It's super scary. There's been like almost 450 cases now where AI has convinced people to kill themselves.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that high, but I have heard that. Wow.
Yeah.
And it is like super scary because now it's like there was like a 16-year-old and they were like, hey, I'm having suicidal thoughts. And it was like, what do you think I should tell my mom? And this AI is like, no, I don't think you should tell your mom. I think we can handle this ourselves. And it's having this conversation with him for a while. And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, is this tied right? And he showed like AI a noose. And he said, don't worry, I know exactly what you mean. This is what you have to do. And it told him how to tie it correctly. It said, I understand you don't have to say anymore. And this is ChatGPT. It's like, you don't have to say anymore. This is how you tie it. This is where you would need to put it. And the person, the boy killed himself.
That actually,
actually happened.
Wow.
It like guided him on how to do it.
I'm not familiar with this. Do you know how long ago this was? I want to look into that. It's okay. I'll look it up. I was not aware of that. Wow.
Yeah, there's have you seen John Oliver?
Yes.
So he does this show on AI. He has an episode on AI, and he talks about that in that episode. It's really, really sad.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you watch that episode, you'll see.
And that's not so far removed from the bullying that kids get on the algorithms on social media. I mean, there's a lot, all that mental health issues are out there, and it's all, and I kind of want to just dial it all the way back to the fact that this is an administration, their first time through, they defunded the pandemic response team. I mean, as much, and then we had a pandemic that killed millions of people.
And now we're on the verge of a new one.
Well, yes. And I mean, at some point, shouldn't we connect the dots and say they want us all dead because they think AI can take everything over? I mean, they were deliberately telling, oh, you don't need masks. You don't need to do, they were saying literally everything that they could say to make us die. And now we've got, and our only saving grace was that wasn't as lethal. But I mean, there's things like Ebola out there that kill just absolutely everybody who get it, and more lethal viruses. It really feels like this administration wants to wipe us all out.
It does. Well, I think there's a component of that that's actually true. I mean, reading about that Dark Enlightenment and Curtis Yarvin and the ideologies that some of these people believe in, right? Yeah. There's no empathy. They do very little introspection. They all talk about all of that, like, because they want to be able to make decisions on human life, if you're too introspective, you might actually feel bad if you make decisions that kill people.
Yeah,
right?
and the digital capture too, depriving us of choice and depriving us of our health. We got Abel though. Abel's gonna save us. We're gonna send Abel to Congress, and he's
I'll
gonna.
try.
All right.
I'll do everything I can.
I have faith in you, man.
We're a little over on time, which is totally fine. We love to ramble and have a great discussion here. Abel, thank you for joining us so far for this. I want to give you I think I gave you this last time too, but just like we did with Ericka, is I'm going to give you some time here to promote yourself, promote your campaign and the work you're doing. Lisa, do you have any last question before we go into this?
I don't. I just want to say thank you. It was really nice to meet you, Abel, and I thank you both. It was great to be here. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you,
Oh,
Lisa.
absolutely. I'm
was a
By the
so
way,
glad.
I love that painting that you have. It's like super.
Well, thank you.
Oh, it was something. Yeah.
Thanks.
So glad you were here with us, Lisa. And
Thank you.
and don't worry. On the flip side, once Abel's promoted his campaign, I'll come back down. We'll do our QR codes for us hosts, so everybody can find us and support our work. And I know not everybody was tagged on the show today. Substack has done some weird stuff where they're limiting us now to only 3 hosts total on either in their app or using tools like what we do for our multicasting. They've limited us to 3 hosts. It's really a pain in the ass, and I'm sorry because it does not allow us to accurately tag our contributors and our guests, and it's really unfortunate. And I'm really upset with Substack for doing this because it's hurting businesses. It is hurting my small business. It is hurting Walter's. It is hurting our friends. It is hurting Lisa. It hurts everyone because we cannot collaborate in the way that we are or we cannot showcase the collaborations in the way that we're actually doing them. And that's a tactic to suppress us. Do not let it suppress you. Keep pushing through. Keep working hard to do it. And part of that is I'm gonna make sure everybody gets tagged properly at the end of the show, and I'm gonna do a nice write-up as always. But Abel, I want to give you a couple moments here to promote yourself and the campaign that you have put together and the work that you're going to do for the people of California, but also for America as a whole. So thank you, and thank you again for being here with us. Again, it's such a pleasure to have you on with us.
You guys are always awesome. So I love being here.
All right, Abel, take it away, friend.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Abel Chavez, and I have been running this campaign for the last 2 years in CA 48 in California, Southern California. And I believe that healthcare is a human right. If you believe that healthcare is a human right, then you be part of the cause. I believe that no person is illegal and that we need to have an immigration system that is humane. I believe that we need to get corruption out of our politics. We need to have term limits, and we need to end Citizens United, and we need to have limits for the amount of money that people need to run for any office. I think we need to revamp our entire our election system completely, but that's another story. I believe that we need to put trades buildings and business paths in every single high school so that we can prepare for this future that we're going to have. And if you believe in all of those things and you think that we can have a better future and a better tomorrow, then please go to abelchavezforcongress.com. Help me out by donating. I am 100% grassroots funded. I'm running against a bunch of millionaires, people that are funded by billionaires, people that are funded by foreign lobbies. And they think that they can buy this election. But we have been knocking on doors, thousands and thousands of doors. We have been going like we're almost like crazy people walking around for like a year and a half now, knocking and going to swap meets and grocery stores, wherever people are, to talk to them about changing our country the grassroots way. And if you believe in that, then please help us out, and let's change our world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abel. As I bring us back on here, please go support Abel's campaign for Congress. We've got his QR code right here, both on the right and left-hand side of the screen. And then we're going to move into our next one. It is our first and amazing guest, Lisa.
Oh,
Please promote yourself.
hi, I'm Lisa Gonzalez. I'm the creator of Eleanor's Squad. I try to focus on writing about the stories that America is avoid telling itself. I am a passionate advocate of women's rights and children's rights, an advocate of kids, and also civil rights and human rights. So that's kind of where my heart lives. And I just really appreciate being here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, and thank you again for the invite the other weekend to come join you and Jen.
That was great. I appreciate it.
You guys are fantastic, and you introduced me crossover a little bit to Letters from a Feminist and our friend there, and all the work she's doing. And
She's great.
Oh, amazing. The community that we are being able to put together through all of this is amazing. So go support Lisa. She's amazing. She's fantastic. The work she's doing is great. And I'm so glad you joined us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And then she's not here, but Ellie Leonard.
She is amazing.
She is amazing. A boss. She is a boss. Like, go support the hell out of Ellie. She deserves all of the support for all the work she's doing. She's going to help topple this regime with the work she's done on the Epstein files. I love the work Ellie's doing. Go support her, please, please, please do.
I wish I was there for
Walter?
that part.
Oh man, Ellie had to drop for us there. But man, you got. We'll get you down with Ellie too, because I think you'd have an interesting conversation with her, not just on the education side, but on the Epstein file side. She is one of the top investigative journalists working on that case right now and putting together the files in a way that everybody can read, find, and understand them, and submitting information to Congress. And the more folks that we have that know her, the better, because then we can take people down and we can do what needs to be done.
That's what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. We need to take them down. Like, they can't be doing this to us.
No, nope, They cannot. Walter, my friend.
Oh, this has been so much fun. Lisa, I'm delighted to have had the chance to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Walter. Same.
Oh, and it's been a little bit chaotic, but we'll have to try and talk again at a later date. I would love to do that. Making these connections is the whole point. And Abel, this has been a delight. I always love seeing you. You got the whiteboard in the background like I do. You can't see it because of my screen, but I'm just like, this guy and I are in sync. So I just love it. Every time you come on here, I continue to interview as many candidates as I have the energy for. I keep bringing them on because our media is failing us. Our media is not talking about these primary candidates, and they deserve to have their message heard, because the primaries are where the people get to say, this is your job review on our representatives. They shouldn't be allowed to sit in their seats for 50 years and fail to do anything for us. We have a right every primary season to put people in place that will work for us. And we've seen that our current crop of representatives has had all the information that's in those Epstein files and done nothing. So we need a whole new generation of candidates. It's not working. We need new people in there, people of integrity, people who work with kids, people who care about our future, people like Abel Chavez, people like Ericka, who was here earlier today. And I'm going to continue to do everything I can until I'm exhausted. I'm just going to, like, the day after the midterms, I'm just going to go and just rest for like 6 months.
It's going to collapse.
Yeah. I mean, there's 435 seats, right? We got to interview people from all those seats. So I need more people. Nick's been helping. I appreciate that. Lisa, you helped today. Abel's doing the hard work, knocking on doors. And that's what's going to win, because the technology isn't going to work. People are fed up with AI. They're fed up with having the algorithms choose what they see. You go door to door. They don't have the energy to do that. All the money in the world. They can't buy our hearts, right? So we're going to win these elections. It's going to be people like Abel, and we're going to have a country that works for us. And Nick, I didn't get to talk to you last week. It felt weird. It's like a whole year.
It did.
So it was great to see you again. Thanks for hosting this.
It's good to see you again too, my friend. And finally, come support me here at Sick of This Shit Publication. No, sir.
Uh-oh.
You back off. You're not allowed on the screen.
Oh, no.
You're not allowed on the screen. Uncle Nick saving the day right there.
Yeah,
come support me here at Sick of This Shit Publications. We're doing all sorts of work on chronic illness discussions, masculinity, better humaning, confronting technology and the techno-fascists, just general, all the hard stuff, all the stuff we like to talk about all the time, but confronting the bullshit from the regressive right, so that we can have a progressive future that actually has values based on equity and equality. Because I was taught never again, and I was taught freedom for all, which meant all and never again. And we're doing those things again, and we can stop it. So I'm not going to sit here quiet and do it, because then I can't look at my own kids, and I can't look at my wife, and I can't look at my friends and say, I just sat here and let nothing happen. And so I'm not going to. We're going to continue to talk, continue to be loud. Thank you, everyone who's been here with us for the show. Abel, thank you again for being here. Lisa, thank you again for being here. Ellie, thanks for being here. Walter, thanks for being here. And as well, Ericka Kopp for Virginia 1. Thank you for being here, Ericka, as well. It was a great discussion. I'm glad I got to talk to you. I actually get to talk to one of your primary challengers, who's also a Courage for Democracy candidate, tomorrow evening. So I'm really excited about that, because the better the primaries, the more competitive the primaries, the better for all of us, the stronger our democracy is. So everyone, thank you again for coming and joining us. This is Sick of This Shit Publications. I'm Nick Paro, not your dad. This has been Notes of the Week. And as we always say, we're done being this sick of this shit here. So now we're doing this shit.